You want
Well,
to
I
kick it off?
think first thing we want to talk about today is hemp paper, the latest topic of our blog posts, and pretty much what it can offer over trees, and why we should be working with it. I think
Hmm.
so. I guess the major starting point is that it can be made completely organically, doesn't require any chemical bleaching or anything like that throughout processing. So there's not a whole lot of waste
Can we
that comes from it.
can we've tried to record like a couple of days ago, and there was this one point that we were talking about the organic growth of hemp,
Mm,
and I just want to bring it up again because I thought it was like a good point.
mm,
We were pretty much arguing whether growing hemp non-organically is better for the earth than growing it organically, because it seems to be that the only difference is that, or the major difference is that organic hemp is organic because of the soil that it's grown on.
and what it's fed, of course, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but like hemp doesn't need pesticides or all that kind of stuff because it's natural weed.
yeah,
It's mainly like the soil,
yeah.
I guess,
Well,
right?
it's the soil that has to receive organic certification, and then
Yeah,
it also has to be fed organic nutrients rather than salt-based nutrients.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, for it to be grown in organic soil, you have to clarify that it doesn't have like heavy metals in it and other chemicals inside the soil for it to be organic, right?
Mm, yeah.
And hemp is great at actually removing those metals and other sorts of things from the soil to
Mm,
kind of revitalizing it. So I think it's almost fair to argue for like all things that are non-consumable, it would be better for the soil and I guess overall consumption, because you see, like if it cleans the soil, you can grow food on there that isn't contaminated with heavy metals and
mm,
chemicals and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was an interesting point, but
yeah.
let's
Yeah.
head back to paper.
Yeah. Well,
So I had to throw it in there.
um I actually looked a little bit into um just on the point that you brought up. Then looked a little bit more into it, and also whether the metals can be extracted from the
From the
fibers as well.
fibers, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Um, Another thing we can touch on. But
Yeah.
as for the heavy metals that the plants can absorb, supposedly there's also some things that are very bad for soil. I believe one of them is called selenium, or
Selenium. Yeah,
yeah, but it's
sounds like
something
something.
that the human body needs.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to figure out exactly what the nutrient is, but it contaminates a lot of soil and inhibits plant growth in the area. But it's really good for humans, and a lot of humans don't get enough of it. And in Colorado, they're actually experimenting with using hemp to clean this particular nutrient from the soil, and then distribute hemp seeds that are higher in this particular
Ooh,
nutrient to people.
that'd be cool. Yeah.
So they're cleaning the soil and like increasing the intake of this particular nutrient that humans need
Hmm.
in the population. So it's a real two birds with one stone type situation
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And then yeah, apparently you can smelt down heavy metals from inside the fibers as well once heavy metals have been collected from the soil, and reclaim them for reuse.
But
So
so you can separate them from the fibers.
yeah, you have to smelt it down. I
What
do
does
not
that mean?
believe. I imagine it would mean incinerating
Yeah, the shirt
the
or
plant.
the
The
whatever it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
in some cases, if the heavy metal contamination was great enough, that may prove to be a financially viable model.
Just growing plants and then burning them for metal.
Actually, I'm already seeing a couple of problems with this, because then you're releasing greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere too. So
Yeah,
let's scratch that idea.
yeah, wouldn't be the best. But I mean, if we ever run out of metal, There's the hemp plant. Okay, so back to hemp paper and organic hemp paper.
Yeah, yeah.
Or non-organic could be better.
Could be.
Yeah.
Bottom line is it can be manufactured without the use of chemicals once it's been grown. So whether it's been grown organically or non-organically, you don't need any chemicals to create this paper. It's a very simple process. We talk about it on our latest blog post, which you can check out on our website. It goes into a little bit more detail. Big thanks to cannabisstat.in on Instagram, Indian hemp paper manufacturers, who sent us a PowerPoint very graciously that we were able to use to create this blog for you guys. So yeah, thanks a lot to you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I guess some of the other things to touch on is why hemp is so good at making paper compared to trees.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
tell me about it.
All right.
I'm all ears.
Basically, it's to do with cellulose content. So paper requires cellulose. To make paper, you want to separate the cellulose from the fibers of whatever plant you are making the paper from.
Okay.
A lot of the time, because there's another part of the fiber called lignin,
Yeah.
and lignin is a rougher kind of material that generally chemicals are used to remove.
So that's
from
mixed in with the cellulose in the fibers.
in the fibers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
Alright.
holds it all together, gives it a rougher texture. I'm not too sure exactly what the lignin does, but you don't want it.
Gluten of the plant world. Yeah. Okay.
You don't want it in paper. It can make the paper stiffen up and go a yellowy color.
Kind of like Egyptian papyrus or whatever they're called. Oh, you notice the
Not
paper's
too
real.
sure.
I think that's definitely a bad comparison because
Yeah.
they didn't really refine
Well,
them.
they could. Well,
But-
that's probably the problem.
Yeah.
They didn't have the processes to take
Right,
the lignin
yeah.
out of it.
Have you ever touched it? Papyrus paper? It's it's real stiff. It almost feels like it's gonna crack.
Right.
But you can roll it and it's yellow and stained.
Huh. Yeah, that would probably
Maybe. Could be.
that would probably be a major part of that, as well
Yeah.
as age and everything and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But basically, hemp only contains a 7 to 15% lignin content, I believe it is.
Okay.
Whereas generally trees contain up to 35%. So you need chemicals to remove such a high lignin content in order to make paper that's bendy, flexible, and that doesn't turn yellow when it's exposed to any environmental factors, wind,
Okay.
water, anything like that. So just due to the lower lignin content of the hemp paper, we can see why not so many chemicals are needed to create it.
Yep.
You don't need to remove so much lignin, or hardly any at all. And
So is there still a chemical process involved, or
No.
they just kind of blow past it?
they rely on using natural. I can't remember exactly what they're called.
I thought you were about to say the other C word.
There's some natural compounds basically that they use to kind of coat the paper.
Okay.
that adds the flexibility and reduces the potential for discoloration. And then they also do something called varnishing, which is a very thin steel tool a lot of the time that it kind of acts like sandpaper for the paper, and they brush it up and down along in the same line, and it also smoothens out and adds a softer texture to the paper. So using these processes, you can remove the discoloration, the yellowing from the hemp paper, and also add those qualities that you traditionally want from paper that you're printing on or using for workbooks or anything
Okay.
into it, just through natural human and mechanical
And
processes.
so the hemp paper will will basically be exactly the same as normal paper, or is there like a difference?
Won't be exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally haven't tried any of their hemp paper yet. The photos look incredible, and I urge anyone who can to jump on their Instagram and grab some for yourself. They have workbooks, notebooks, like diaries, all that sort of stuff.